Today we're going to talk about right-wing logic, left-wing hypocrisy, and just all-around bad behavior. Let's get into it.
Right.
She's not lying.
Everyone starts off as a lefty and then wakes up at some point after you start either making money, working, trying to run a business, trying to buy a home, and then realize what crap ideas they all are, and then you go to the right.
And so let's just analyze this a little bit. I believe the saying goes that if you're young and you're not a liberal, you have no heart. And if you're old and you're not a conservative, you have no brain. I think that's the saying. So, and clearly and obviously when you're young and you're idealistic and, you've never really accomplished anything yet, you've just been a consumer, a succubus. You've just been drawing off of the life force, energy, and monetary systems vis-a-vis your parents, the government, grants, loans, and whatnot, since you've existed. Generally speaking, I personally have been working since I was 10. I had a paper route at that age. I was peddling candy in school when I was 12 and 13 years old, until finally I got a job at Burger King when I was 13, 14 years old. Not that I had a choice in doing that, because my parents demanded at that age that you start paying rent. But nevertheless, I've always done for myself. I was landscaping, anything I could do to make a dollar. So I never really consumed from my parents. But, millennials and Gen Zers, all they know how to do is consume and then pontificate to the rest of us everything that we're doing wrong. And only until you find that you're in business for yourself, or you start to really rise up and earn. And this is happening now with friends of ours that we knew them in their 20s and through their 30s, and now they're touching 40, and now they're both really starting to make a lot of money. And now that they're starting to make a lot of money, and they see how much money is taken out from the federal, city, local, state governments in taxes, and they see how much of this money is going into these pet projects to support people coming into the country that are doing nothing but complaining, bitching, and moaning about the accommodations they're providing them for free in the city with phones and meals and debit cards and all this other stuff, and they complain that these accommodations are not acceptable enough. And that's all on our dime. We are funding and financing all of this nonsense. And as you get older, you really start to see this now. Isn't that interesting? Sooner or later, you come over to the right. Now, I don't want to represent that either group, the left, the right, even people even close to the center, have a monopoly on the best ideas. Though those of us that do tend to tack to the right, we do own Boardwalk and Park Place. Just saying. But I don't know if you've ever seen, in the last week or so, the craziness, the Jerry Springer action going on in the Congress. And pull it up, if you please. Just pull it up. The world has gone crazy when the voice of reason is John Fetterman. And I gotta give maybe a stroke was the best thing that ever happened to him, because all of a sudden the guy makes sense and is very logical. And I guess more or less he's saying that he wanted to apologize to Jerry Springer show for all of the craziness in the devolving chaos that was between MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Ocasio-Cortez, because MTG made a statement to this gal, Crockett, about her fake eyelashes. And the insanity ensues. Let's pull it up.
Do you know what we're here for? We're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order. Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
your
please
screen.
engage the order of your committee?
Mr. I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is
absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play,
Baby girl? I don't think.
I think we all would have been better off if Marjorie Taylor Greene had not gone to the fake eyelashes business. Of course, it triggered AOC because it's always about emotions and attacking someone's physical appearance. He's not attacking her appearance. He's just breaking chops about fake eyelashes. I think the fake eyelashes are kind of nonsensical myself. And I see all kinds of gals that have them. But of course, we have to automatically throw around the word racism. Because why not throw the word racism in there? Because why not? So, show it to me.
Then there are the cries of racism. Crockett, who was involved in the fight, calls Greene a racist and told reporters, quote, she probably will raise money because the racists are going to be so happy to give it to her.
Well, you know what they say about racists? They're going to racist.
And she wasn't the only one.
I think there's no question that Marjorie Taylor Greene uses racist language all the time. I mean, let's be very clear. She's always actually, I think, coddling to white supremacists. She's coddling to the language that Donald Trump uses.
Whether she's racist or not, she is a disgrace to the American people. She's a disgrace to that Congress.
Yeah, of course. So we got to go there. You know, she's a disgrace to the Congress. Yeah, she has done some things that we could clearly and obviously do without, calling for the ouster of Speaker Johnson. We could clearly do without that at this point right now, and potentially, you know, not risk showing a division in the party, the party line. So we could, of course, all have afforded without doing that. You could also not have to deal with people like Maxine Waters calling for violence once upon a time, you know, getting into the faces of people on the right, forming a crowd. I don't know if you remember her saying it. You get up in their face and you tell them they ain't wanted here, you know. So I want to know if anybody on the left was denouncing that kind of attitude. Probably not, because the left, I hate to say it, if you hang out on the left, they're really the party of projection and hypocrisy. And nothing is more evident of making that point. And I'm not saying that there are not people on the right that are hypocrites, but really the left runs the table of how to play the hypocrisy game. Talking about how to treat people with dignity and respect, like Karine Jean-Pierre explains to us.
This is something the president would agree upon, which is, you know, you, as someone who was a senator for 36 years, he believes that people should respect each other, treat each other with dignity and civility. I think you have to treat people with dignity. You have to treat people with respect. It is important. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you sit on. It is important to do that because you are there to work on behalf of the American people.
And so as she said, Biden really is, in his 50-something years and being in government, he really is the benchmark of treating people with dignity and respect. Let me show you some of his best examples of treating people with dignity.
Well, he just clarified it.
Wait. Take the AR-14s and look.
Hold on. Hey, let's get moving. There's a lot of guys wanted this.
I'm not worried.
And we know that Trump is arrogant, obnoxious, and egotistical. And he doesn't know how to show anybody any respect. So Joe is going to show him what it's like to be a dignified, respectful politician.
I'm not going to answer the question.
Why
because,
would you answer that
because
question?
the question is the question
Supreme Court
is
Justice,
the
radical
question,
left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your? Well, there's nothing happening there.
Donald, would you
and
just
you don't
be quiet
know
for a
her
minute?
view on.
I mean, as we know, Joe is not a liar. And he was more than willing to say to people he's really not that bright, and that he graduated 76 out of 85 from his law class. Here's some video of him explaining that he's really not that bright, and that he, in fact, graduated 76 out of 85 from his graduating class.
Could you quickly, I think
I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom 2/3 of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
And in keeping with the mantra of the left, and how they don't want to body shame someone's looks or fat shame anybody, here's Joe talking to John Q. Public, the everyday voter, and certainly not passively aggressively suggesting that he's out of shape, overweight, or not fit.
Now,
I didn't say you were doing anything wrong.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
That's what I hear on MSNBC.
You don't hear that on MSNBC. You did not hear that. What you heard. Look, here's the deal. And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do.
I'm not voting for you.
Well, I knew you weren't, man. You think I thought you'd stand up and vote for me? You're too old to vote for me. All right, let's go.
And of course, we would be nowhere in this world if we did not have the logical explanations and, of course, the truths as told to us by AOC Ocasio-Cortez about Donald Trump in the Bronx at a rally. Because, the guy is broke, not popular, and, of course, he's just, struggling to take 2 nickels, rub together to make a dime.
He's got nowhere to go, and so he's decided to come to the South Bronx. He's broke. He needs to pay these legal funds, and bussing people in order to get those donations so that he can funnel them to his legal fees is kind of his business right now.
Well, the left is pulling out all stops. They are running scared. You want to know why? Because Trump had a rally in the Bronx to the tune of about 8,000 to 10,000 people. It could have been more. And that's a prize fighter. He is going into areas that people on the left would never go into. You wouldn't see Joey going down into North Carolina or Georgia, or Texas, somewhere really, really red to have a rally. And that is the evidence of a guy, a prize fighter in Trump, that he's going into blue areas, rolling up his sleeves and talking to everyday people, and potentially in areas where people don't agree with him, to try to get people to come across the aisle to hear what he has to say and get them to actually vote what makes sense and is logical and is reasonable and rational, and points to, hey, this type of policy, things go wrong. My type of policy, things go right. And you know that because I was in the office. How was your life 4 years ago? Is your life in 2024 really and truly better than it was in 2018, 19, and 20? You decide.